Welcome to a very special Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We are a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussions, and a whole lot of opinions on Brandon's work in the Cosmere. Today, we have a lot of stuff and a lot of crazy stuff to discuss. But before we go into that, I am Evgeni. You may know me as Argent. And joining me is Grace.
Hello, I am Gator Girl, and I was awoken from my ancient slumber by the rumblings of the fan community.
down in Gator River. And also joining me for this impromptu recording is Marvin.
Hi, I'm Paleo, and I brought back the hype train because you'll understand why.
There are hype things to be talked about. However, before we talk about all the hype things, there was an announcement today on Brandon's YouTube channel. And if you haven't seen that, you probably should, because we are going to spoil the heck out of that announcement. It was a 16-minute video, and there was a live stream after that. So you want to make sure you're caught up on all this stuff. And for your convenience, the link to that video announcement, as well as the Kickstarter and all the other stuff that we can find useful, is going to be down in the description or in the upper right corner, which, because I don't know how to YouTube, might be in one of these two places. Okay, good. 3, 2, 1. We're about to go into spoilers. Cool. Let's spoil the announcement. You know how we've had this pandemic for the last couple of years, and people have been cooped up in their homes and just getting stir crazy and not knowing what to do. Well, Brandon dealt with that by writing five new novels. No, 4 of them are novels. One of them is secret novels.
In addition to the ones he was already writing. So.
Yeah. Yes.
Secret to the extent that not even his team knew. Only like his direct, immediate, like Emily and his kids knew about these novels.
Yeah. So the first secret project he wrote, I think at the beginning of 2020, roughly, and it was kind of a gift for his wife, Emily Sanderson. And only she knew about it, and he was kind of giving her chapters as he was writing them. And at some point, they apparently decided, at her encouragement, to actually make this available to other people as well. By that time, we had a second, and later a third, a fourth secret project, all of which are full-length, adult-ish sci-fi fantasy novels, about 400 pages on the Kickstarter. Yes, there is a Kickstarter. We'll get to that in a moment. All of them planned to come out in 2023, kind of one story every quarter, every 3 months. So that's the gist of the announcement. Before we talk about the Kickstarter, how are we feeling about this?
I'm still in shock.
I see Gator Girl EXE has stopped working.
It is very, very exciting news. But I do think, like, we have a while before the first one will be released, so I have plenty of time to, like, internalize that these books are coming.
Excellent. Marvin, are you excited, or are you just like, meh?
I'm super excited. Like, for those who don't know, Brandon in his weekly update the day before this announcement was like, he pre-announced the announcement, and people were really worried about what it might be. And most people assumed it would be like, okay, he has to turn down the notch a little bit to write fewer books, and now he has written 5 books in the last 2 years. So I couldn't be happier.
It is fantastic. Those of you, dear listeners and viewers, who have been in the fandom long enough might remember the time, I'm not going to remember the year correctly, but around 2014, 2015, when Shadows of Self and Bands of Morning were announced. And we were, those of us who were around at the time, were so thrilled that we were getting a Mistborn novel in like Q4 of 1 year, and then the sequel to that January the following year. And that was just, oh my God, 2 novels in like 3 months. And then we finished Bands of Mourning, and there was a page at the end that said, oh, by the way, I also wrote a secret history thing. You can find it here. So I find that this announcement recaptures a lot of that feeling for me, where things are moving along, things are fine, and then Brandon unleashes the deluge of content upon the unsuspecting and innocent readers. And he says in the video that it worked very much the same way for him, where he didn't have pressures from editors or from publishers or from anyone, really. He just could write the things that he wanted to write at his own pace. So with that being said, let's go over the Kickstarter very quickly. You will find a lot more information there. And then we're going to talk about the individual stories, because on the live stream today, Brandon gave us a little, not even a preview, a little teaser of a preview about some things about the individual stories. So, Kickstarter, we have essentially, so it is live right now, and it's going to be live for the rest of March. There are essentially 2 categories of tiers in there. You can get just the books, which are 2023, 1 book every 3 months. And you can get those in a variety of different formats. You can get the ebook, you can get an audiobook, you can get a hardcover, or you can get all of them. Notably, if you get the hardcover, which is a premium hardcover that is exclusive to the Kickstarter, that won't be available after the Kickstarter ends. There might be a traditionally published hardcover and or paperback later. That is uncertain, but this premium hardcover is just for the Kickstarter. But if you get the audiobook or the hardcover, you also get the ebook for free with that automatically. So that is one of the categories. And the other category is same stuff, but also you get what is essentially a Sanderson or a Dragonsteel subscription box, where for the 12 months of 2023, on the months in which there is no book, you get what is essentially a loot box filled with various goodies, such as t-shirts, maybe bookmarks. We don't have details on what these things are going to be. And each month is going to have a different theme. And the first one, so in January, you're going to get the first secret project story, which, as of the time of the recording, we don't know what that is, but 2 days after today, so on Thursday, March the 3rd, we will. And then February, we get a Cytoverse themed box, and March is a Hoid theme box, and so on.
And I'm pretty sure he did specifically reference like Hoid art coming in that Hoid box that he's been using in like the thumbnails for the streams and stuff.
I would love
pretty
that.
sure I heard that.
So are you guys excited for any one specific loot box? So we have Cytoverse, Hoid, Mistborn, Cosmere, Warbreaker, Stormlight, and then kind of a generic, we have Elantris Emperor So, and we have kind of a generic Sanderson fan box.
Yeah, I'm probably not getting the loot boxes. I'm sticking with the books, just because I'm not really a huge, like, loot person. I am very excited, though, about seeing the art that is going to come in these books. Because he has having end pages and some like full color illustrations for all of these 4 books.
And I believe it says 4 illustrations commissioned specifically for these books per book. Which obviously it's not Stormlight level of, you got 30 pages of stuff inside. But also these are not Stormlight sized, right? So this is incredible. What about you, Marvin? How are you feeling about these boxes?
So I will get them, even though it's going to be a little tough for us EU folks with the shipping.
I am sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've used it by now, like just ordering from Brandon's store, and the Way of Kings Kickstarter already like conditioned me to expect these kind of shipping prices, unfortunately, but you can't do much about that. But the box that I'm actually pretty excited about is the Elantris one, because we don't have much at all like merch related and things like that about Cell. So we do have like Stormlight Archive. I honestly don't know what they want to put in that one because we have so much swag already from the Kickstarter. So yeah, I'm more excited than I expected about the Elantris one, simply because we don't have anything really that is Elantris related. Like we have the one Soul Stamp T-shirt or whatever, and that's pretty much it, I think. So
yeah, I don't even think we have like an Aeon T-shirt, right?
I don't think we do now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Elantris.
Yeah, it's understandable in a way because it's the oldest story, and like he didn't have all this machinery then. But it's cool to see it get some love. Yeah.
I think if I were to get the loot box, I probably would be most hype about Warbreaker. Just because, like, if art is one of the things that is potentially coming in the loot boxes, I know Warbreaker is going to have some good art in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to an illustration that is 50 Shades of Red. It is Light Songs. Just everything is red, but realistically, so not everything is red. There are actually like. There's a bunch of different red in there, but they're all within like one hex value of one another. Yeah. And so if you are a computer, you can actually see the what was it, the Battle of Twilight Falls. Yeah. But you actually can't. I would love that. That'd be a great thing.
That would be amazing. Just people are going to throw away this basically solid page of red, and you are like, oh, it's the best thing ever.
Cool. We know kind of what the Kickstarter model looks like. We know that there is a gorgeous illustration of Hoyd on the page there as a video thumbnail. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It looks amazing. That's by Howard Lyon. Now let's talk about the cover mock-ups. So these are not final, in part because it's a secret project on them. It doesn't say the title. But in part because these are going to go through some iterations and stuff like that. Let's talk about them. What do you guys think? How are you feeling? Do you want to speculate on what each or some of these are? Which one is the non-Cosmere story? Which one is your favorite?
I feel like the non-Cosmere one. Yeah, the non-Cosmere one is pretty obvious. Because the second one shows Earth, so
okay. Yeah. Well, that was an easy question, okay. But it could have been the Little Mermaid one.
Yeah, that's one thing. Every time I see that, it just feels very reminiscent of that shot in like the Disney Little Mermaid where she's on the rocks and shoots up, and there's the water behind her. I'm like wondering how intentional that was on Brandon's part and like what it could mean for the story if it was.
Yeah. I do love all of them. Like the style of them I really, really like. It's not the conventional style that we are used to from Brandon books, I feel, because they're always more illustrated. But these are this more abstract style is also something I really, really like.
Yeah, these are obviously these are very monochrome, not in a black and white, gray kind of meaning, but they have a single color that dominates all of them except for let's say a couple of colors, and then all of them have a very strong silhouette and are not very detailed, right? So in the first one you have this giant moon.
Yeah,
star?
Some celestial body.
Yeah.
Giant celestial body in the background with this strong. It's probably not a mermaid. Realistically, there's probably no mermaids in the Cosmere, but you have the Little Mermaid silhouette in front, and then second one is the infamous by now gun wizard.
Who's stepping out of a perpendicularity onto Earth?
Somehow, here is the Cosmere non-Cosmere crossover we've been waiting for, and then we have this gorgeous. I absolutely adore this one. Very timey-wimey two figures doing a thing. It almost they seem like they kind of mirror each other in a way. And then
think-
for Grace?
Oh, number 3 is the one where I look at and I'm the most confused about what is going on.
That is true, yeah. But it's also my favorite, despite that, because I don't know, it looks really cool. I don't know why, but yeah, I really like it. I think because it tells you so little is why I like it. Like the other ones, I could guess at some stuff, but 3 is like, okay, it's 2 people.
And it's a little more abstract than the others, right? Because these lines don't really tell you what's going. Because in the first one, you can see waves, and they are clearly waves, and they're probably not meant to represent anything other than waves. But this one, are we looking at like some kind of portal? Are they falling into some magical thing? Are they not falling at all? Is this just kind of like an entirely its own artistic interpretation of stuff? I don't know.
Oh god, it's like this. Was it called? The Seventh Box of Pandora or whatever. The story where like they have mini incarnation of Pandora, right? Where they have like these mini gravitational things. What it was, and it's like people on 2 different one of those.
Thanks, I hate it. And to me, at least, the last one is kind of the least interesting. It looks very action hero movie poster alpha guy with, I guess it's probably not a grenade, but it looks like an exploding grenade. Just kind of looking badass into the distance.
Yeah, you got some sci-fi-y things floating in the sky in the background.
Yeah. And a weird sort of sun or something in the background as well. Like the way it has like this, it could be a ring structure, I guess, around the actual sun. I don't know. It's a little odd.
At a glance, I saw that as like circular pulses. Because I think I was focusing on just the little thin lines.
Yeah. Same.
But there is something else there, right? The kind of the grayish stuff.
Yeah. Almost like it's like a dome with like a window out to the sun or something.
Could be, yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
And quickly going back to the first cover, something I just noticed, there's like below the left hand of the mermaid, there's also something there. I don't know what it could be. It looks a little bit like it could be a chalice or something, but I don't know. This like
there is something
thing. So,
interesting.
I don't know what that could be, but it definitely doesn't look like it's part of the rock at the very least.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna overanalyze the heck out of those.
Oh yeah.
I also find like the colors chosen to be so interesting. Like the green on the first one to me almost looks like a sickly green, and like if that means anything.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. I'm sure things will come to our minds as we are moving forward, and we might revisit these covers later in this special hopefully short episode. But why don't we actually talk about the books? Obviously, we know very, very, very little about them. We have like literally bullet points worth of information about each one. And not even each one, but it is something, and it mostly comes from the live stream. So let's go over it.
So for the first book, the Little Mermaid one, we know that it's going to have the craziest world building of all of the 4 of them, in terms of like a lot closer to Stormlight in terms of like weird biology and terrain and things than Mistborn. This is set on a new world. It's going to reference other Cosmere things. It's going to be a good entry point for new readers. It's most similar to the 3rd book on this list, and it has a very different voice from anything else Brandon has written.
And some of these are points that are going to be shared between all of them. So, for example, all of these take place on worlds that we haven't seen before. Obviously, kind of except for the second one, non-Cosmere one, because there's Earth there, and we've kind of seen Earth, but it's My impression, at least, is that it's not like one of the Earths that we have seen so far. Like, it's not necessarily Reckonverse or Cytoverse or Woldverse. It is
Wotesmere.
the Woldsmere. That's right.
Yes,
It is
the
its own thing.
Wotesmere. So I have a bit of a theory on this book, based largely on the cover. But I think nothing directly contradicts it. I think that this book is going to be set on one of the other inhabited worlds of the Dromonad system, so like second of the sun or third of the sun, probably called by whatever the planet's name in that culture is, because it would be a little bit surprising if they shared the same naming convention as first of the sun is.
Yeah.
Because
valid.
we know all of those planets have water as some sort of important feature for them, not just first of the sun. And water seems to be one of the main defining things of that cover.
Arguably.
It's one of the 4 things that we have on the cover, right? We have water, celestial body, rock, and not a mermaid.
And I do think that it would work as well as like it could reference the Cosmere, but not necessarily. Like, I could see it being somewhat like Six of the Dusk in that way, but referencing it less so, I guess. So because it would make sense for the ones above to come to all those planets in that system. Like, why would they only come to first of the sun? And when they're already there, they might as well pay a visit to the other ones. So I could see it being another future era novel without too many hints that it's actually in the future. Because, I don't know, the ones above are only just arriving. So it would make a lot of sense to me as well if it was in the Dromonad system.
I can see that. And it would fit with, if you recall, in a recent spoiler live stream, I believe, Brandon did say that there were multiple future era Cosmere things coming down the pipeline. And he said before Stormlight 5. And at the time, a lot of us were like, wait, but Stormlight 5 it's in like 1 year. You can't do that, Apparently Brandon can do that. So yes, it is fully possible that any one of these, if not all of these, can be like future, not necessarily space age Cosmere, but like just taking place in the future.
Yeah.
Plus, if it does incorporate like the ones above, that could make sense with some kind of celestial body playing prominently on the cover.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're actually bombarding the planet with the moon.
Oh no. It's the darkest timeline. Yeah. You're like, we can't interfere in this world, but on this one, throw a moon at it.
They do a different thing with each world. It's like this one happens to be the apocalypse one.
Whoops. So second one, non-Cosmere story seems like, because there's Earth on the cover.
And Brandon also confirmed this as non-Cosmere in the live stream.
Oh, sure, yeah. I was paying attention to that one and not processing things he had said 15 minutes ago. But speaking of things he'd said 15 minutes ago, this one will apparently quote or include excerpts from other things that Brandon had written, which is very odd. It's a little Alcatraz-y in the way that Alcatraz's mother was reading Mistborn, I believe. Yeah. So it reminds me of that. So maybe it's kind of a jokey, quirky. Yeah, I'm just gonna have fun with the genre, whatever the genre is. Gun wizards.
Yeah. The cover seems very multiverse to me. So I was wondering if maybe it's something where these different Earths all exist in the multiverse, and he has a copy of like the in-world version of Alcatraz.
Oh,
we're going recursive, boys.
It's a multiverse within the multiverse. Go away, MCU. You ain't got nothing on this. Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
I think Brandon mentioned that one of them would be more YA somewhere. And he was thinking about like the fifth book he's writing is a middle grade one, and I think at least one of these would be YA. But maybe I'm conflating it with State of the Sanderson right now because things move really fast earlier.
Yeah. So the fifth book, which is not a part of this, but is one of the books that he wrote, is called Super Awesome Danger. And is it's a middle grade thing that he kind of wrote for his kids, and he was reading to his kids as he was writing them. So that one is the one he thinks might turn into a graphic novel, but he's not certain yet. So if he did say YA, I can see this one being
that's
kind of YA-ish.
Yeah.
He also said one of them will be in the first person, and this is kind of my candidate so far for which of them would be in first person.
And a lot of his YA has been first person, right?
Yeah,
Alcatraz,
that's what I was thinking.
Cytoverse, like all of the others, except for the fourth. We'll talk about the fourth in a little bit. This is a good entry point for new Cosmere, or I guess non-Cosmere, new Brandonverse readers. And this one is also the shortest of the four, sitting at 85 to like 90,000 words, which is shorter than Skyward, I want to say. I think Skyward is like 110.
Something like that, yeah.
That sounds rightish.
Yeah.
And I think the longest of the Cytoverse novellas, of the Skyward Flight novellas, is like 90,000. So we're probably looking at something like that.
And he did say, or Peter said, or commented during the stream that the longest one of these overall would be like 105,000 approximately. So yeah, around this range for all of them.
So we are sitting in the Brandon novella kind of range. Also known as a novel to anyone else. Anything else about book 2 before we move on to book 3?
Honestly, not really. Like, there's not too much to because it's non-Cosmere, so we don't have anything to base speculation on, I feel like.
My wild speculation is that it's non-Cosmere multiverse connecting to Reckoner's universe in some way, but not directly referencing that, maybe? Those kind events?
Meta multiverse.
And I could see being sort of Alcatraz style, but a little less middle grade folk, because Alcatraz was middle grade initially, at least. They get a little dark points.
A little bit, yeah.
So I could see that like being aged up a little bit, but in a similar style at least to Alcatraz. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to book 3 then. And Marvin, why don't you take this one for us?
Yep. So again, we have some crazy world building in book 3. Also, again, Brandon talked about it being more setting wise rather than magic wise, that it's going to be crazy. So just wacky, really, the world that we are going to look at. It's again, of course, set on a new world, and it will also reference other Cosmere things. And as we have said before, it will be most similar to book 1 in that regard. It also has a voice different from anything else. Brent really tried out new things with these books, and it has been many people's favorite. He said on stream,
including Brandon, Emily, and Peter, I believe.
Yep.
Wow.
So high expectations for that one.
This is by far the hardest one for me to get any kind of read on. This could be literally anything, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, okay,
so... this was the weird abstract cover, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, So my first instinct was, because I really, really want that story, was the kite magic system from and Whimsy as the shard on that planet, or celestial body, whatever it would end up being. I would really love that. I don't know how the cover quite fits into it, but it's maybe like the story of two people finding each other by flying on their kites. I don't know. I really want
that
that.
got interesting fast.
I really want that kite magic story and just want to see Whimsy. So yeah. And then my second thought after looking at the cover a little more, I got Ether of Night vibes because the spiral pattern could be like verdant Aether, and the more pinkish color, or was it even the bluish? Sorry, the bluish could be verdant, and the pinkish red color could be amberite. Technically, if he keeps those things, and judging by Aether of Night, like the plot, there we also have like two love interests there who find to each other and are sort of also across, because one is verdant, one is amberite. So yeah, it's I don't know, like a Romeo and Juliet sort of situation almost. I could see that happening, and I don't know. I just really got Aether vibes there. Don't know why exactly.
You're not selling me on the idea, but Brandon has been talking more and more about Aethers recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another aspect of why, like, I think he finally, like, because they have been on his mind so much after writing this book, maybe. So yeah.
You know, looking at this cover closer, it almost like the people are like holding on to the spirals to like stay in place.
Yeah.
Or something.
Enhance.
It does look like that a little bit.
I'm wondering if maybe this is like some sort of like zero gravity situation where they're kind of like holding on to something while fighting, and that's sort of where the like spiral weird angle things come from.
Mm-hmm. And that would make sense because Brandon also mentioned on stream that the science people gave him a real hard time, or he gave the science people a real hard time, like the beta readers and other people who consult him on these sort of things. So zero gravity certainly would pose some problems, I feel like.
Yeah, apparently he's been doing interesting things with the cosmology of some of these things. So we don't have high storms. We have high storms made of sand. I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Aether could, or something with Aethers could be likely.
This being zero gravity does not preclude Aethers being involved.
Not at all. Especially with like hopes we've gotten about them not being from any one planet, maybe, and things like
and
that.
Having spread in significant ways throughout the Cosmere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And take us home, Grace. Give us the last one, which is not the same as the first one this time.
Definitely the most interesting, in my opinion. So this is one where the main character is someone we've seen who hasn't had their own story yet, so we would know who the character is. I'm half convinced the whole reason these are just silhouettes is because this figure is like very prominent, and if it was like fully colored, we'd know exactly who it is.
That's valid.
This has crazy world building, like everything he's talked about so far in these four. This is not a good entry point. It relies too much on other knowledge, specifically the backstory of the character we've seen before. The plotting for this one is leaning very hard on a specific style, and is very polarizing depending on whether or not you like the style. It is set on a new world, and it is something he has wanted to write years away, but decided he had to do it now or it would never get done.
So I have an opinion about this style point that he puts in there. I think Brandon finally decided to try to write something in second person.
Interesting.
Because he has been he mentions N.K. Jemisin a lot in writing excuses, in his lectures, in interviews, and just conversations. Like, that's an author that he respects and likes and admires. And writing in second person is one of the things that she is very famous for. And it's a style thing that's super polarizing for people. Like, for me, it was extremely difficult to get into second person because it's such a it's such a difficult paradigm shift in the way you process the thing, or at least that was for me. So that's where I'm putting my flag on this hill, and I'm saying book 4, Secret Project 4, is second person, and some people are gonna love it and some people are gonna hate it, and I'm gonna hate it.
My thought on reading it and how we sort of talked about the plot is that it would be more something that leans very heavily on a specific genre that isn't necessarily fantasy or sci-fi. So the comparison is like WandaVision. That is a superhero TV show where the beginning leaned very heavily on this like sitcom style of storytelling. I was wondering if it would be something similar, where maybe it was like written in the format of a play or something weird like that, or maybe even less than that, but something where it's not a sci-fi or fantasy genre, but it leans so heavily into how that other genre is written that for a fantasy reader it might be like off-putting.
Or it could be like what is it called, epistolaries, I think, where it's like in-world letters and artifacts that either tell the story or like form a dialogue that tells the story.
Like World War Z, I believe, was written that way. Or like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't the original Dracula that way?
I think that's another one that was written that way.
I think he said on stream actually that only one of these would be first person, and the other 3 would be third person, and only that he writing them in different styles of third person. So I'm expecting some of them to be omniscient.
I think he said one of them is going to be first person, and I think he also said that one of them has 2 POVs.
Okay.
Because he was talking about how for most of these it's very easy to write and revise because you just go straight through and it's a single point of view and it's very easy. But when you have 2, you have to pace the 2 because they go in parallel, right? And I think he mentioned that one of them was going to be 2.
And I mean, that's got to be the third one, right? If we have 2 people on the cover.
Yeah, because it has 2 people on the cover, yeah.
Okay, but I thought he said the rest were third person, but I might misremember that. But yeah, what I was thinking with the strange plotting, I thought maybe it was like just the structure of it, that it would jump around a lot or something like that. Maybe that might not work for people, but I definitely like this sort of maybe epistolary idea. I do really like that. It would be epigraphs taken to the extreme, more or less.
Brandon Sanderson, the epigraph story. It's actually, each chapter is like 6 pages of epigraphs and then 2 sentences of the actual chapter.
So when I first saw the cover, my instant idea was that those things in the background look like floating cities. And so my first thought was, this is going to be Silence Divine. Just like, without
Ashen.
thinking too much about it. Yeah, it's Ashen after whatever happened there. And we're going to finally see that story. And it sort of would make sense because Brandon has been talking about like the pandemic is sort of the perfect like example for him to maybe base that story around or like get inspiration for it. So I find it would be very fitting if that was the book.
I do think that would make sense, but it just makes me wonder who that like character would be that we've seen before.
Yeah.
It's Silence Divine.
Looking at the cover a little more, the clothing of the person looks pretty modern, I find. Like
it kind of looks like a jacket or a coat, right?
Yeah, it doesn't look fantasy-like to me. I don't mean fantasy-like, it could be whatever, but it doesn't look like, it's not definitely not armor. And it's also not like, I don't know, in the third cover, we have like this more a coat, I think is what it looks like. So it definitely looks like a more modern sort of attire in the fourth one.
He's like holding something against his heart as well. I cannot tell what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some people on Discord say that this is like a gem heart, or some people were throwing the word topaz in there, which is a very cheeky word to throw around in the Cosmere.
Yeah.
It does look like it's a fiery type of thing, right? Not necessarily fire, but maybe fire colored.
Yeah.
Do we have any ideas on who the character we think it is? From our thousands of options?
The hotel lady from Bands of Morning. She is the hero we need.
I'm thinking this is probably a world hopper, but not one of the main ones. So like Felt maybe, or I was thinking like Asladin, but Demo's world hopper wife, but I think this looks more like a guy on the cover, possibly.
yeah.
So
I could really see it being Felt, actually. Like maybe he, before coming to Rosha, or after he came to, because it's backstory, maybe before he came to Rosha, he took a little trip to Ashen, maybe. I don't know, I could see that. Like, if it was Silence Divine, like working that framework.
I have seen some people in the Discord hypothesize Felt. I have seen the 3 world hoppers from the Way of Kings, the one chasing Hoyt. So Bayon from White Sand, Demu from Mistborn, and Galadon from I was gonna say Atlantis from Elantris. Surprise! This story takes place in Atlantis. What else have I seen? I have seen people want it to be a Chris story, but I don't think it's going to be a Chris story.
Yeah, no.
I've seen people want this to be Silverlight. I don't think it's going to be Silverlight, but please, Brandon,
I agree.
Brandon, let it be Silverlight.
I've seen people want it to be Hoid.
I mean, that's also
like,
where the topaz comes in. So
yeah, I personally doubt it's going to be Hoid.
It would make a lot of sense in the framework of like him wanting to write or having planned it for years in the future. But I also don't think it's Hoyt. Like, just that person doesn't look like Hoyt. Like, that's not a Hoyt for me on the cover. And yeah, I don't think it's likely.
And this is such a like an action hero pose, and Hoyt is a clown.
Yeah. All right. I don't know how realistic this would be, but hear me out. So this is like one of the 5 scholars, like Orsteel or something, back in his world hopping days. And it's like epistolary, and the format is like him writing letters to the other 5 scholars and taking notes on the planet he's on or whatever.
Oh, I love it. I've seen Naz as an option. And I'm reminded of that because the thing you described, I was like, oh, this would be perfect except if you said Naz instead of one of the 5 scholars, right? Somebody, because he kind of looks like a badass James Bond type of, character, and he goes around on different worlds and is collecting things, and the story is him complaining to Chris in epistolary. I love it.
That would be awesome, yeah.
My only hesitation with Naz is that would Brandon write that story secret from Isaac?
Yeah.
Probably not.
You're right. You're right.
Coming back to the 5 scholar one, what is complete crackpot, but it would be very fitting for that in the background to be the cognitive anomaly.
Oh, I hate it. Thanks. I hate it. Hate it so much. So much hate.
I mean, many things or places to choose from that it could be. But I still like it being Ashen, just because if that's not a floating city in the background, I don't know what it could be.
Yeah, no, I know Punny zoomed in on one of these and it's like, well, these 3 pixels kind of look like a skyscraper. I'm like, yeah, these 3 pixels do look like that. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Especially the right one. Although now looking at it at an angle, it kind of looks like a wasp. But also I can see, a city upside down. So
yeah.
Cool. We are coming up on 1 hour.
Yep.
of raw recording, which is amazing for us. This is world first. So let me give you just a 1-minute recap for brand new Brand Sanderson books coming over in 2023 on Kickstarter. One every 3 months. 3 of them are Cosmere. 1 of them is none. They are going to come out in the order you see them on the cover graphic. So Cosmere, non-Cosmere, followed by 2 Cosmere ones. All of them are on brand new worlds. I think all of them are going to be new characters, except for one who is a character we've seen before, but has never had their own story. And over the month of March, we're going to be getting live streams every Thursday alongside readings / previews from these stories. And then, so I think the way this is going to work is we're going to get a reading from the first secret project this Thursday, which might be the past Thursday, so March 3rd. And then I think the Thursday after that, we're going to get a live stream that talks about the reading from the previous Thursday. And I think the live streams are going to play catch up on the readings, is how that's going to work out.
So you will know very soon whether or not our speculation is correct or completely off the mark.
Or you might already know that, and we live in the past that is the future. I don't think we're going to be doing Who's That Cosmere character, but let's do final thoughts, final round, hot takes, lukewarm takes, whatever you want to. The mic is yours, Marvin.
If that's not Ashen in cover 4, I don't know. So,
are you gonna eat a shoe?
I'm not going to eat a shoe. Just ping me whenever we find out what it is and tell me you were wrong. That's all I'm
Your
going to
commitment
take.
is weak, but these words are accepted. Grace, final thoughts.
Just random final thought I had is that in that first secret project image, the celestial body is literally pulling the rock and water out of the planet, and that's why it's like flying up.
That is a thought. My final thought, I love the Hoyd art that is on the Kickstarter that is commissioned. Fantastic. It's not my headcanon for Hoyd, but I love it. And I also love the cover of the third secret project, the one with the pink and blue, that we have no idea what that is. I love it the most. I think this combination of colors just speaks to me.
Yes, they are all very pretty colors or covers.
Cool. Well, that is the end of this special episode of Shardcast.
It is far from the last time you will hear Shardcast discussing these. We just wanted to get something out before we knew anything about it to speculate on what in these worlds these could be without pretty much any information.
Yep, I think we're going to have a lot of these special episodes as we get previews and readings and streams and things like that. But you can find us at 17shard.com for always news, theories, discussion, fun, all of these things you can ask for. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. We have Discord, where a lot of us hang out most of the time. There's something about leaving us a review on iTunes. I think I remember that from the outro. And you can definitely support us on Patreon for as low as 1 gold coin per month. We got some Rhythm of War topics coming up for you next. But we're going to need to find time to schedule these because Brandon very inconsiderately just ruined our 2022 schedule.
Yep.
He ruined our 2023 schedule, and we haven't even made that yet.
Yeah.
We will probably be able to do podcasts on just these, and we'll also have to find time to fit Lost Metal topics in somehow.
Yep.
Damn it, Brandon. But that is for us to worry about and for you to consume the fruits of our labors. Stay tuned for more content and have fun with the year of Sanderson, which is next year. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.